The Eye of the Sahara, also known as the Richat structure, is a curious phenomenon in west-central Mauritania, Africa, specifically in the Adrar Plateau in the Sahara. Observable from space, these concentric circles of sedimentary rock form a remarkably symmetrical geologic formation. It is massive, and the geological structure is shaped like a bullseye. Geologists initially thought that the Eye of the Sahara was an impact crater caused by a space rock. However, extensive geological examinations inside the building prove its Earth-based origins. Geologists say the Eye of the Sahara is a dome with some rocks in the formation that are over 100 million years old and predate life on Earth. These rocks comprise sedimentary strata and volcanic deposits with kimberlite, carbonatites, black basalts, and rhyolites found in the Eye area. Volcanic activity millions of years ago lifted the Eye's landscape. Today's deserts weren't here, which were probably moderate with plenty of water. The temperate winds deposited layered sandstone rocks on lake and river bottoms, and subsurface volcanic flow lifted the sandstone and other rocks higher. After the volcanism stopped, wind and water erosion eroded the domed rock layers. The region settled and collapsed, forming the roughly circular Eye feature. Ancient rocks in the Eye of the Sahara have revealed their origins. The Eye formed when Pangaea broke up, and as Pangaea broke up, Atlantic Ocean waters poured in. As Pangaea broke apart, magma from the Earth's mantle rose to form a circle-shaped rocky dome bordered by sandstone. As erosion eroded the igneous rocks and sandstones and the dome subsided, circular ridges formed, giving the Richat structure its depressed, round appearance. Today, the Eye is slightly below the landscape. The Richat structure was first discovered by astronauts of the Gemini 4 mission in the 1960s. The circular geologic formation, with a diameter of 40 kilometers, is easily visible from space due to its distinctive appearance. The Richat structure has captured the attention of scientists for many years, and a photo was taken by an astronaut on board the International Space Station, which placed the structure in context with the extensive dune fields that surround it. Nick Hague took a photo of the Eye of the Sahara in September 2019 and wrote about his experience observing the living history of the Earth from space. The lost city of Atlantis, the most advanced city in history, sank into the ocean long ago. Plato's Timaeus and Critias from 360 BC referenced it. Atlantis was greater than Libya and Asia, he wrote, and it referred to modern-day northern Africa and over half of Turkey. Plato said a powerful confederation of kings ruled the island and numerous other islands and sections of the continent. The city had land and water rings with bridges connecting the center to the outside, guarded by gates. According to Greek mythology, Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses, found Atlantis while searching the world for the largest island. The most attractive and brightest individuals on Earth lived there. He built a palace into a mountain, ringed it with 3 circular moats, each growing in diameter, divided by enormous rings of land, and placed Plato, his true love, in it to live for an uncertain amount of time. Poseidon often impersonated other gods to get what he desired. Plato had 5 twin boys while imprisoned by Poseidon. Atlas, the first, ruled Atlantis and named the ocean. The other sons ruled the 9 kingdoms of Atlantis. The island had its own crops and cattle, and a well-maintained irrigation system. Supposedly, the inhabitants of Atlantis came from the Lyrian star system 50,000 years ago. They averaged 800 years and were taller and fairer than humans. They were thought to regulate weather and volcanoes. The notion that all residents were half human and half god may also be related. According to archaeologist Ken Feeder, Atlantis was not a utopia. Atlantis represents an affluent, technologically advanced, and militarily powerful nation that has been corrupted by its dominance. This is why many feel that Atlantis is a moral story Plato invented. If Atlantis exists, some clues suggest the Eye of the Sahara is the lost city. Aerial photographs of the Eye show enormous white dots and salt pockets covering the beach. Ocean water flowed across this area 12,000 years ago. Recent articles claim the Sahara Desert was once green. A massive flood 11,600 years ago left a barren wasteland. That's 56 million years after mankind assumed Africa was submerged when the Trans-Saharan Seaway flooded Africa. CIA data was declassified recently, and classified redactions revealed new Eye of the Sahara information. The CIA flew aircraft to around a dozen countries in 1967 to check for geomagnetic anomalies. Scientists sought to check the geomagnetic fields that insulate us from space, and reshot structure was tested. While the mission's existence was declassified, its results were not. The survey's scientific findings are unclassified and open to the global scientific community. But the declassified information ends there. The government withheld a half page of information even 50 years after the expedition. We wonder, why are the findings classified? This doesn't prove the lost city of Atlantis, but it does show that the CIA is hiding something near the Eye of the Sahara. Atlantis's main island had two hot and cool freshwater springs. This spring is unique to the globe, which may have prompted the original mission. Adam and Eve was another declassified book. This book was released, but its CIA file origins are uncertain. The text mentions 11,600-year-old oceans covering continents. The Sahara turned from green to desert at this time, which matches Atlantis's demise. It also fits the Younger Dryas. Earth's dramatic transformation during the Younger Dryas is famous. Earth's climate changed 14,500 years ago, from glacial to warmer. It ended 11,500 years ago. According to the NOAA, it ended abruptly, which may have caused Atlantis to vanish instead of sinking. How could the landlocked Eye of the Sahara be Atlantis? Ancient words are often taken literally, and we often forget that words and meanings evolve. The Declaration of Independence, for example, written some centuries ago, uses antiquated terminology. Imagine reading BC-era documents and pretending nothing has changed since they were originally written. Translation complicates Plato's writings too. Translating ancient Greek into modern English leads to misinterpretation and missing words. This may apply to island. Plato uses nessos in Greek. This meant island. According to Joining the Dots, Plato's Atlantis in the central Mediterranean, Nessos, might indicate a peninsula, which there was no Greek name for until later. It might also mean a coast, land within a continent, or land surrounded by lakes, rivers, or springs. Plato may not have mentioned an island, but may have meant the Sahara Eye. Plato composed this as a moral story, yet all of his prior allegories and tales were explicitly fiction. His work repeatedly indicated that this was a factual story. The Eye of the Sahara's elevation is the key reason it's not Atlantis. 11,600 years is a very long time. After Atlantis sank, the region rose. The salt in the area indicates that the ocean used to flow across this portion of Africa, but that it is now higher due to the Earth's crust shifting. People think we would have found Atlantis if it had been as enormous as Plato said and sunk into the ocean. Oceanographers and submariners must have encountered architectural ruins or artifacts. However, the massive flood that destroyed the lush Sahara provides the solution. Something that could wipe out a land of vegetation and other life forms might wipe out a metropolis with little to no evidence left. This only proves that the Eye of the Sahara is not the Atlantis, not that it does not exist. Plato described Atlantis as being west of the Pillars of Hercules. It would be in Gibraltar, between Spain and Morocco. The Eye of the Sahara is elsewhere. That might be one of Atlantis's 10 kingdoms named after Poseidon's son. That may be accurate, but why would Plato write about one kingdom's location instead of Atlantis's capital city? Since his writings don't name additional locales, that makes no sense. That suggests the Strait of Gibraltar still holds the city of Atlantis. The Eye of the Sahara is strange geologically, thus much debate surrounds its origins. Most agree it is a badly degraded geologic dome. When Pangaea broke up, Atlantic Ocean waters rushed in. Meanwhile, magma from Earth's mantle rose to form a round rocky dome bordered by sandstone. The sandstones eroded over millions of years, leaving round ridges as the dome subsided, like cutting a precise circle off the dome's top. The dome's rocks eroded at different rates to generate the rings. Volcanic activity beneath the eye may have raised the region surrounding it. Back then, water and life were abundant and temperate. Winds and lake and river bottoms deposited layered sandstone rocks. Volcanic flow pushed up on the overlaying layers of sandstone and other rocks, but after volcanic activity died down, wind and water eroded the layers, and the region fell down and collapsed, creating the eye shape. One last possibility is that the lithosphere around the eye was weakened, and magma rose from below to form an anticline. A large rock fold rises from its surroundings. Sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic strata alternated. These rocks erode at varying rates, creating concentric circles. The Eye of the Sahara's oldest rocks are in the middle, forming anticlines, all of which makes this theory plausible. Plato's writing was intentional. He didn't compose it to be misinterpreted or to fit Atlantis' location. Most persons who have claimed to have found it, notably the Eye of the Sahara, can match Plato's description by arguing he wrote it in error or to deceive. If you try hard enough, anywhere can be Atlantis. Western Sahara is no longer temperate. The Eye of the Sahara's desert residence can be visited, although it's hardly luxurious. Travelers need a Mauritanian visa and a sponsor. Aerial tours of the Eye are offered by several entrepreneurs. The Eye has a hotel and is a car ride from Mudan. The Eye is relatively safe from human destruction because it is in a sparsely populated desert with little water or rainfall, yet erosion, like elsewhere, threatens the landscape. As climate change increases desertification, desert winds may bring additional dunes. Sand and dust may fill the Eye of the Sahara in the future. One of the world's most spectacular geological wonders may be buried in a windswept desert.